Well, good morning, biology students. It's day 2 with Mr. Olson here, learning from our remote classroom in biology. What do I want you guys doing today? Well, let's kind of talk about that. First of all, we're working through our project, our out-of-school project. It looks like a lot of you have picked your animals already, which is great. I sent you out a list earlier of students that have not yet joined our class. Make sure that you do that. You can look at our classwork. And you'll see this, you'll see the 24 comments. Those are all students that have picked their animal already. Make sure that you look through the list before deciding. That way we don't have duplicates. I've tried to make sure I look through and help you navigate that in case you weren't seeing it. But make sure that you don't have any duplicates. If somebody's already picked let's say, a mountain lion, you can't pick the mountain lion. You need to pick something else, okay? So just make sure you look at that. If you want to go back and look at the rubric, let's talk about what I want you working on today. So as I was looking, a lot of you have your cover page, and I can see who's doing what the entire time. I'll show you a screenshot here. I tried to cover up names. So this is from first period. You can see over here that I've covered up names. It's just a section. I get a whole big list of all of my students and who's working on what. So I can see that this person already has their cover page. They're doing looks like the Arctic wolf. I can see this person, they've got their cover page, they have a picture on there. I could then go click on their slideshow and just look at their progress. So I can kind of look and see who started. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3 of you that have started just in this little group, and several of you that have not started yet. So please make sure that you start. Let's go back and look at our rubric for a second. So cover page, we should have that, okay? Include your name and class period, obviously. This is going to help me keep track of things as I go to grade them. A picture of your organism with the common name and scientific name. We'll talk about how to find the scientific name. You could just Google search it if you want to. But we'll talk more about scientific naming here in just a minute. If males look differently than females, make sure you include pictures of both. I said start on general characteristics. That's not usually a difficult thing. Size, diet, lifespan, any fun facts. Just kind of learning general information about your animals is what I want you doing now, or what you should have started on last night. Continue with this, okay, and get that into your presentation. But right now, let's focus on complete classification of your organism. So we have done this with our rainbow trout. We talked about the complete classification of our rainbow trout. The domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. I do want that, and then I also want a close relative, okay? So let's talk about, just make sure that you understand what classification is. Since we aren't in class for me to explain it, I want to do my best to help you figure out how to navigate that, okay? The best thing I would suggest is go to YouTube, and then if you type in taxonomy, Amoeba Sisters, they've got a whole video series. We've watched some of them in class. They're pretty popular. I would find the one on classification. It kind of helps you understand how and why we classify things and what's the purpose and what does it mean when you start seeing all these complicated names. Okay, so watch this video here. I think that will be helpful to you. And then you want to apply that to your organism. So how would we do that? The first thing is, let's say you're working with a mountain lion. Okay, let's say you're working with a mountain lion. I think some of you have actually picked this as well. I would type into Google, complete classification of a mountain lion. You kind of get this little helpful thing here, but it's not complete. I don't really see all of the stuff that I'm asking you to put on there. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia usually does a pretty good job of outlining that classification, complete classification, I should say. There's a lot of information, but usually on the right-hand side of Wikipedia, they will give you that complete classification, that kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. You'll notice it doesn't have the domain on here. Well, there's only 3 domains, and it's often not included. There's the domain Prokarya, Eukarya, and Archaea. Everything that we're going to be looking at is going to be under the domain Eukarya. They're all eukaryotes. All the animals that you guys have picked are eukaryotes, unless you chose like a bacteria or something like that. But you're going to put domain Eukarya above, and then kingdom, Animalia, which means it's an animal. Phylum, Chordata, means it has a spinal cord. Mammalia means it's a mammal. We do know that mountain lions are mammals. Order, Carnivora, so they're carnivores. Don't worry about the suborder. I'm not interested that you have that. Family, Felidae, those are things that are cat-like. Genus, Puma, and species is Puma concolor, okay? And so this is your scientific name. They put P concolor there, but make sure you put Puma, spell it out. And anytime you're writing a species name, you always want to do it in italics. And you always want to make sure that you use a capital letter on the genus name and then a lowercase letter on the species name, okay? And then so the other thing I ask you to do, if you look at our rubric, is I ask you to include a close relative, okay? So include a close relative of your organism. How are you going to know what a close relative is? Well, if you start looking at phylums, that wouldn't necessarily be a close relative. It's going to include anything with a spinal cord, okay? Which, I mean, it could be a walleye, it could be a tiger, it could be anything, okay? So to make sure it's a close relative, you're going to want to look at either the genus level or the family level. So if we look at the family level, Felidae, it's going to include all things that are cat-like. And so you could include really anything here. All of these things are cat-like, and you guys know a whole laundry list of things that you could include there. Anything that you know as a cat could be a regular lion, a tiger, a lynx, doesn't really matter. All of those would be considered relatives. If we were trying to go a really close relative, you would go under the genus, Puma. Let's see what we get here. I thought maybe they might include some others, but I don't really see anything in here. Let's check these guys just in case. That's an ancient extinct one, it looks like. So anyway, you might be able to go into the genus. You might have to back out to the family. I wouldn't get much further away than that. Typically, the further down our list we go in classification, the more related we are. So make sure that you try and stay within genus or family here as you look at trying to complete your complete classification, okay? And also include pictures. Make sure that you have a picture. Make sure you have a picture of the organism that you're looking at as a close relative as well. It just kind of gives us some frame of reference as we try and look at who's related to who, so on and so forth, okay? So today, make sure that you have started your slideshow, you include your cover page, you've looked at some general characteristics, and then you've looked at classification, not just of your organism, but also the video so you understand it, not just that you know how to find a Google search for your organism and classification, but that you understand classification and why it's useful, okay? So those are the things I want you getting done today. If you have questions, you can post a comment, or you can email me, or use Remind and you can message me that way, okay?